Another one of DC Comics' hollow diversity characters has bitten the dust. It appears that Aquamen, which was the vehicle to really establish Jackson Hyde as the new Aquaman and take the baton from Arthur Curry and really elevate himself up to Aquaman, is no more. It's actually been canceled after just 6 issues. Now, this is a rumor of sorts from Bleeding Cool. This hasn't been confirmed yet, and it's not in the solicitation information from DC Comics, which did come out this week. There's reasons that I believe this, because they canceled Green Lantern, and it never said it was canceled until the issue actually came out. They never mentioned in the solicitations. They never told the customers of Green Lantern that were enjoying that Jeff Thorne run that the comic book wasn't there. So there's precedence for this happening, and it's recent precedence. We do know that on issue number 2, they had to overship the comic book for Aquaman number 2. It was very under-ordered. I don't think orders even reached 20,000, and they rushed out a black and white Jim Lee cover as an overship to incentivize people to buy into the series, and perhaps with the hopes that the series could go on under Brandon Thomas, but it's not going to. It's going to be canceled. And it makes all the sense in the world when you see the track record of these characters and how they're performing at DC Comics. I've said this many times over the past year or so, that DC Comics today is the most lame-ass version of Marvel Comics from 7 years ago. They're taking all of the worst things that Marvel did back then that really hurt their sales, killed the enthusiasm in their comic books, and they're transferring them into DC Comics. And I could have told you that Jackson Hyde, Aquaman the Becoming, and Aquaman was never going to work. It's not that they got the wrong writer. It's not that people wouldn't accept a new version of Aquaman. It's that they're doing it all at the same time. And there's another little wrinkle in this one. There's already a version of this character that exists and is popular. Far more popular than Jackson Hyde will ever be. His name is Calder. And guess what? He's black. He's gay. His father is Black Manta. The only difference is his name is Kaldor. He's in the animated universe, and he's a fully fleshed out character that people actually like. They haven't fleshed out Jackson Hyde, and when they've done it in Aquaman the Becoming and Aquamen, it's been atrocious. In the last issue of Aquaman, we get to see Jackson Hyde torture somebody, use his superpowers to torture somebody and break their bones and stuff. How heroic is this? That is not a hero's journey. That's a villain's journey. Of course, they're replacing all the Justice League members very soon. We're getting a new Superman and John Kent. A new Batman's going to be Jace Fox. The new Wonder Woman's going to be Yara Flor. The new Aquaman is going to be Jackson Hyde. And the new Green Lantern is going to be JoJo Mullins. And guess what? Before Dark Crisis has even started, and these characters have ascended up to this new Justice League that's supposed to replace all of our favorite characters in the DC Comics universe, a majority of them have already failed in their own series. I feel bad for Brandon Thomas, the writer. He's done really good stuff on the indie scene. His first issue of Aquaman in Future State was absolutely brilliant. It was like a 5-star comic. The second issue sucked. I don't get where that happened. But his excellent series has been good. He's had some really cool stuff out there, but it feels like this is another comic book writer. I don't know why Brandon Thomas can't get this right or hasn't gotten it right to this point. I think DC Comics are essentially sabotaging it and kind of hurting his reputation. This is the first big break Brandon Thomas has gotten to really establish his name as like a household comic book name, and it's not good. Aquaman the Becoming was terrible. Aquamen, equally terrible. Now, this is the news that we do have coming out of Bleeding Cool. Relaunched earlier this year with Arthur Curry and Jackson Hyde sharing the lead as Aquamen in the DC universe. Originally under former DC publisher Dan Didio's plan, it would have been Jackson Hyde as the new Aquaman in the DC universe, but things changed. Orders crashed with the second issue of Aquaman, and not even a hastily arranged 30% overship with the free Jim Lee variant cover could save the day as far as sales for Aquaman. Not shocking. Not even Jim Lee and a special Jim Lee cover that was free could save this comic book. It was doomed from the beginning. When you see that cover for Dark Crisis and we're getting the new Justice League and you see the new Wonder Woman, you see the new Green Lantern, Aquaman, Superman, Batman, let's think about these characters. 3 of them have already failed. The Yara Flor Wonder Girl series was canceled very prematurely. JoJo Mullins was one of the stars of the Green Lantern series from Jeff Thorne. There was a story about John Stewart. There was a story about Joe Mullins. That thing got self-canceled at 12 issues. Jackson Hyde Aquaman has now been canceled after 5 issues. There's 2 characters left standing, the Superman variant and the Batman variant. John Kent's Superman can't even crack the top 50 sales after worldwide headlines promoting the character that were out there for a week. It immediately dropped as soon as the hot comic of the week notoriety of it faded away and nobody stuck with the title. Not shocking. Jace Fox in I Am Batman is still ongoing. Don't know what the sales are on that one. They had to move him to New York, which kind of makes sense. You don't need him in Gotham if you have Bruce Wayne, but that Batman series isn't even cracking the top 50. It's not surprising that 3 of the key members of this new Justice League that are going to be out there saving the old Justice League have already had their comic books canceled. Jackson Hyde doesn't work. We've already talked about this. They never fleshed that character out. There's a better version of him in the animated universe. Arthur Curry is still around, and even when you kill him, people are just going to want you to bring back Arthur Curry. Make Jackson Hyde his own character and do something with him that isn't him torturing people and being a whiny bitch, because that's pretty much what the character is. Now, you can have characters start out in the early parts of their superhero as they ascend up and they prove themselves, and they have problems with their attitude, or maybe they are a bit whiny. But normally, good comic book writers will have them be humbled a little bit, have a little bit of failure here and there, and then their attitude changes. They become more heroic. They save the day here and there. Some other characters notice them, and all of a sudden they're a hero. They never did that here. You just have Aquaman Arthur Curry going, you are the next Aquaman. We've been talking about this. You are Aquaman. Readers never respond to that. It never, ever gets the new character over. It only causes resentment for the new character and people going, wow, why are they defining down Arthur Curry Aquaman? Why is he lowering himself and wanting to just hand his mantle off to this character that's a whiny bitch that hasn't proven themselves? I don't know why writers decide that they need to take this fast track mentality to getting these new characters over, but it never works. It has failed so many times over the past 10, 15 years at this point. And I guess they wanted Arthur Curry to be the biggest laughing stock in DC Comics when they did that Aquaman The Becoming. You see this moment where she's standing up there, she's being a leader, she's telling everybody what's happening. Who's in the background? Who's the prop in the comic book? Even though it's called Aquaman, right? Of course it's Arthur Curry holding the baby. You wouldn't want to have the wife do that. You'd be reinforcing bad gender stereotypes or something stupid like that. People see right through this stuff. They never respond to it. We do have more information about the canceling, and that DC Comics kind of knew that this was going to happen, and it was kind of planned. And this is what Bleeding Cool said. Aquaman was a stealth 6-issue miniseries. It was originally planned to be a miniseries, but was felt by DC that if it was presented that way, retailers would not order sufficient copies, and so it was presented as an ongoing series. And if sales were high enough, it would be extended anyway. But the belief is that presenting it as a miniseries would have harmed orders. However, with only 19,000 initial orders for the second issue, before the Jim Lee cover was dropped, it's hard to see that it would have made much of a difference. So not only have DC Comics lowered themselves to where they're replacing all their mainline heroes like Marvel Comics did, not only are they far too reliant on reboots like Marvel Comics was, not only are they far too reliant on ratio variant covers like Marvel Comics used to do, and not only are they heavily leveraged on event comics like Marvel Comics used to do, now they're lying to their customers, just like Marvel Comics used to do. And there's so many fans out there, and I understand that everybody wants to participate in the fandom however they want to. But you can't sit there and give DC and Marvel, these other publishers, a free pass for bad behavior and lying to their customers. There are people that never would have bought one issue of Aquaman if they knew it was a miniseries. You need to be honest with your customers. And this here is an example of what I'm talking about. There's a tweet out from the Aquaverse Twitter group, and this is what they say. And this is worse than comic book shill sites. These are fans out there enabling DC and Marvel to get away with bad behavior and try to chastise people and convince them never to call them out. This is what the Aquaverse had to say. Due to the highly competitive comic market, a trend is for publishers to avoid marketing a new title a miniseries because retailers notoriously do not like them and order lower units. To achieve sales, they may opt instead to leave the new book's length open-ended or ongoing. This move is strategic, based on a business model. It's not meant as deceptive because the hope is the new book will achieve the target sales and continue to come out regularly. It shows retailers the publisher's support and appreciation of risk-taking on a new unproven product. Stop kissing these guys' asses. Stop enabling their bad behavior. They're lying to their customers. They're lying to the retailers. You shouldn't be making excuses for their terrible business model and their behavior towards customers and lying to customers because that's wrong. And you certainly shouldn't be trying to get out there ahead of time to convince people that they shouldn't feel bad when they realize that they've been duped. whether it's the retailers or the readers themselves. DC Comics and Jim Lee knew before they ever published an issue of this, it was never going to succeed. It was always going to end at 6 issues because no one cares about Jackson Hyde. If they wanted this character to work, his name would be Caldor, he would already be fleshed out, and people that know him from the animated series would have a point of entry into the DC Comics universe. But there was probably a comic book creator that wanted creator credit for it, wanted to get some points on the back end. So let's give him a new name and use all the other characteristics of the character, but I can say I'm the creator now. It's my character, so I can get some points on it if Jackson Hyde ever becomes big. Well, you kind of cemented the fact that he won't because he's not Caldor. Everyone knows what character he should be, and he's not Arthur Curry. Stop calling him Aquaman. Stop trying to make all these characters fail before they ever even launch. You've got 5 characters on this upcoming Justice League on the cover. You've got John Kent, Jace Fox, Joe Mullins, Jackson Hyde, and Yara Flor. 3 of them have already failed. How about getting some common sense and not repeating every terrible mistake Marvel Comics made 7 years ago? This push towards all new, all different DC Comics is certainly not new. I've been talking about it for quite a while, talked about this specifically and why it was going to fail before it even launched. Definitely check this video out. Get up to date, get informed about what DC Comics are doing and why it's failing so spectacularly in sales in every other possible way right now.